caring, committed, proud of East Texas. You're watching East Texas News Weekend.
A proposal to lock in daylight saving time year-round could leave East Texans starting their winter days in darkness for longer. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Daylight saving time is when we adjust clocks forward by 1 hour on the second Sunday in March, aiming to take advantage of more sunlight during the day. Now, if it becomes permanent, the sun would appear to rise 1 hour later in some winter months, according to Time and Date. The House of Representatives passed a bipartisan bill last week that would make the change permanent. The legislation now heads to the Senate. As our April Peardot reports, sleep experts say losing early sunlight can make it harder for the body to fully wake up.
Dr. Daniel Rongo sees up-close how changes in light can affect the body.
Our bodies know when it's daytime, and our body knows when to go to sleep.
Dr. Rongo is a physician at UT Health and specializes in sleep medicine. He says early morning light is especially important because our bodies naturally react to it when we wake up.
Removing that light from our mornings can be detrimental to our health.
He says East Texans' health can be impacted if daylight saving time becomes permanent, keeping winter mornings darker.
When we have dark mornings and we don't have the alignment that the sun beneficially gives us in the mornings, that can lead to our bodies not being aligned in the way it should.
He says that could lead to health issues,
such as sleep deprivation and feeling sleepy at times where we really should be awake, especially during driving, whenever we're at school, trying to do our jobs.
The doctor noted children could also be standing at bus stops or arriving at school in dark conditions.
We do worry about things such as poor performance in school, as well as traffic accidents.
And East Texan echoed that concern.
I know other people that live in the area that have children that take the school bus. I'm concerned about, the children in the neighborhood.
Looking ahead, if the legislation becomes law, Dr. Rongo says the best defense is a steady sleep routine. He recommends sticking to a consistent bedtime and wake-up schedule.
Especially with kids, they need more sleep.
April Peardot, East Texas News Weekend.
Now, 48 states currently observe daylight saving time. The bill would end the biannual changing of clocks, but would also allow states to opt out. The Sunshine Protection Act is waiting in the Senate. No vote has been scheduled yet.